Good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC in a moment. First, to the disclaimers and the trigger warnings. Let me make sure I got the background noise saying, okay, good, light screen. Alright, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are going to be there in the description box for you. We have Autistic Hoya's massive archive and all things Judge Rotenberg Educational Center. You definitely want to have a look. There you will find all the things that you will hear me mention in all of these videos. ER documentation, ER photos, video surveillance footage, articles, court transcripts, you name it, Autistic Hoya's archive has it. Even including the arguments that are coming from the JRC and the Kool-Aid drinking parents themselves. Also, we have included in there the article by Neuroclastic, the one that really got under the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's skin because it completely removes away their ability to appeal to authority. That's right, we're talking about the Neuroclastic article where they surveyed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The JRC did say if they did not remove the article from the website that they would file a defamation lawsuit against them. Well, Neuroclastic has not removed the article, so please go read it, share it on all your social media. Also, don't forget to take a look at their GoFundMe as well that we all created for them. Because just in case the JRC ever does see through with their threat, because we don't have unlimited sums of money gotten from the ether, please, folks, donate what you can. If you can't, please share it. I know they would definitely appreciate it. Trigger warnings when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues, of disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please utilize the headphones. Also, folks, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity as well as speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. Alright, comment 5. And steel yourselves. Because we're about ready to run into more nauseating run-on sentence paragraphs with abysmal grammar. Oh God, just reading this is nauseating. Let's forget the fact of what it is they're actually defending. The way that they write just by itself makes me just want to do something they would probably shock me for. Let's just put it that way. Alright, let's begin, shall we? Comment 5, available patient preference information and real-world evidence supports continued use of ESDs for SIB and AB. First of all, your whole title head there is bullshit. It's bullshit. But this is the patient's preference. Really? So they consented? Well, no, but their parents did. Then you can't use that terminology. The parents are not the patient. The student is the patient. If the patient's consent is not respected, if there is not even the slightest effort in regards to get their consent for said program, you don't have any right to be using that kind of terminology. That is not patient preference, that is guardian preference. There's a goddamn difference. I suggest you look it up, JRC, before you look like even bigger jackasses than you already are. Patient preference cannot be called patient preference when nobody's trying to obtain their consent. So, one more time, for the morons in the back. If you're getting the consent from the parents, that means it's the parents' preference, not the patient's. Okay? For the love of God, could somebody please put these folks in remedial English writing classes immediately for the sake of my sanity? Alright, and real world evidence suggests that it helps. Listen up, wish.com Goebbels wannabes. It doesn't matter how many times you try to repeat that, over how many years or how many decades, it's not going to magically either A, make it true, or B, make the same part of the rest of the world ever believe it to be true. If I'm looking at a device that was designed with the thought that I want this device to cause my patients more physical pain, this idea of I can't deal with you all. For real. FDA is required by statute to make its decisions based on all available data and information. FDA acknowledges that the proposed ESD ban concerns only one facility in the country, the JRC, and a very small subpopulation of patients suffering from severe SIV and AB. Oh, for fuck's sake. How many times are you going to repeat this crap? We're going to have to skip some of this because I'm just going to be very brief here. Even if it's a very small subpopulation, those who are within that subpopulation who are neurodivergent are going to pop up on the other places of this earth. Those other places within this earth, they utilize these standard treatment programs. When the occasion calls for it, they will customize and couple together a specific plan that takes a little bit from everything to best suit those who are a little bit more resistant to the more traditional types of treatment programs. And wouldn't you know it, they work. But they're resistant. Nothing else will work. Then why did it work for them? If you are talking about a subpopulation, and that's a real, very real subpopulation, and others exist in other different places in the world, and nobody's trying to get those kids to your center, but instead work with the resources that they have, and they have been successful. Why do you continue this asinine argument? Even from a logical, non-emotional point of view, the math is not mathing. Okay? Good God. I'm going to speed read through some of this, folks. Bear with me here. We went over some of this. I see. That's why it's familiar. Okay, so we're going to go past Massachusetts probate courts because, once again, folks, not relevant. But the Massachusetts board says it's safe, and the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture says it's not. Guess whose opinion I'm going to value more? Guess whose opinion the FDA panel is going to rely on more? Good God. And the parents tried to offer the information to the FDA but disregarded their experiences and evidence because, trust me, bro, is not evidence. I have explained the entire concept of masking multiple times to you, JRC. You continue on as though you've never even heard the term before. I can present to people I've never met an absolutely perfect picture in regards to what society says I need to be. I'm good at it. I'm 40. I've been doing this a minute. And I can do so for an extended period of time. In fact, those of us who are neurodivergent, who have survived horrific trauma, get very good at it out of necessity for means of survival. So, to the strangers, kids I went to school with had no idea about the horrific things going on when I wasn't at school. Because I masked. I smiled. I engaged, as much as I despised it, with the entirety of my soul, and sometimes felt me slowly dying on the inside, particularly when being forced to make nice with the popular people. Which means it proves nothing. Although observations are extremely important, observations that are backed up by actual, real evidence, evidence that the rest of the medical model would accept, are completely different. We don't have the medical world built on distrust me, bruh. The fact that you are trying to get the FDA to rule in your favor because of distrust me, bruh. Have you gone on the propaganda tour yet? My God, how these people have not been shut down after all these decades, and their horrendous way of trying to defend themselves that make absolutely no coherent sense, and the run-on sentences that is literally the stuff of freaking nightmares. Good God. Somebody give me a megaphone. I'm gonna follow Glenda Cook around everywhere she goes until she gets to the damn point, or at least hires a proofreader, for fuck's sake. The FDA's refusal to engage with this information is completely inconsistent with its own policy to consider the perspective and preference of both patients and caregivers with respect to medical device use. The Center for Devices and Radiological Health recognizes that it takes many people to evaluate and communicate the benefits and risks of medical devices. However, only patients and their caregivers who have lived with their medical conditions and used medical devices understand the factors that impact their healthcare choices, and the patient's perspective are critical to understanding the impact of the medical devices on their daily lives. Yeah, there's a big problem with that, JRC. And that is, the parents are not the patients. crazy, I know, but go with me on this. You see, the patient's consent, nobody cares about. Their right to self-autonomy isn't even considered. In regards to any decisions in regards to this device, the patient gets absolutely zero say. So tell me again about how their preference is not being considered here. Because the FDA and us advocates are the only ones who do actually give a shit about their right to self-autonomy, their right to proper medical treatment without living in fear every single day of their lives. Spare me. The FDA did not ignore the parents' testimonies. They did not give it the same weight as the survivor testimonies because they had nothing concrete to back up their testimonials. The survivors who testified to what happened to them with that device came with receipts, with ER documentation, ER photos, and video surveillance footage. They didn't just come with a story. They did not ask us to rely on just trust me, bruh. You, JRC, on the other hand, and the Kool-Aid drinking parents who support your cult-like pseudoscience batshit insanity could not provide concrete, clear, current evidence and documentation to back up what those parents were saying when they were testifying on the behalf of the JRC. Anyone who has a testimony is immediately going to be given more weight when cold hard evidence and facts back up what they're saying. This was clearly explained to all of you in the 2020 final rule. Okay? That's why people like Jennifer Masempa and many of the other more anonymous survivors who came forward, why they were taken more seriously to your parent testimonials. Because they didn't just ask us to rely on their word. They provided all the receipts. The parents you had go up there to try to fight on your behalf did not come with receipts. Your data is not data at all. It's like a failed third-degree science fair experiment. Okay? The FDA was completely and utterly fair to you. They gave you all the opportunity in the world to provide evidence, papers, data, all together to make your case. You do not get to complain afterwards because you failed in your responsibility to be able to present your case. You have no current evidence backing you up. You have everybody fear Big Pharma the boogeyman. Oh, but you've never been around people like this before. Trust me, bruh, I'm a doctor. I don't know if you looked around the world lately, but nobody's operating off of just trust me, bruh, look at the letters behind my name and expect everybody to believe it and go along with it anymore. Okay? Very, very simple here. The FDA did not refuse to go over the evidence you presented. Your evidence was not evidence. I don't know what the hell it was supposed to be, but it's certainly not evidence. The survivors who came forward to speak in regards to their experiences with being on the device did provide that concrete evidence and proof in regards to the injuries that device caused them and the psychological impact of being forced on that device that was put on them. We are not at fault because you are trying to defend the indefensible, and nobody else in the outside world, not even some of the most batshit mad scientists, insane people, are coming out to help you. On that one, folks, we're going to go ahead and close out for this afternoon. I know it's short. I do appreciate your time. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please, folks, don't forget to utilize the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. There's my little green thingy. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.